voice for everyone. KSHB 41 News starts right now.
The Clark County Jail says they have a major capacity problem. At least one county commissioner wants taxpayers to help.
It needs work to be renovated to brought up to current standards.
KCPD is working to reduce dangerous traffic issues like sideshows and illegal ATVs. We'll go over the plan and hear from people fed up with the problems.
Yeah, it's just really noisy here.
And an annual festival for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is happening this weekend. We're passing the mic to the festival's founders to hear how the event has grown.
It's been organic, but it's also been a lot of hard work.
The first commencement activities start today at KU, and the university is telling members of the Palestine Solidarity Encampment not to interfere with the ceremonies or the preparations. Protesters were told to clear from campus last night, and this morning we're going to break down the latest on the situation and bring you the voices of those involved. To do that, let's get to my co-anchor Taylor Hemnes, who is at University of Kansas live this morning in Lawrence. Taylor, good morning.
Lindsay, good morning. It could not be more tranquil here on the campus of University of Kansas this morning. Very, very quiet, like nothing out of the ordinary is going on. Obviously, that protest has been going on now for more than a week of people being here outside of Frazier Hall. You wouldn't really know anything was going on unless you paid more close attention to where you're walking around Frazier Hall. I took some photos I want to show you now of some of the chalk drawings I've seen in front of Frazier Hall on the sidewalk here this morning, saying things like, "Your tuition funds genocide. Not in our name, Jews for free Palestine, free Gaza, killing children is never justified, ceasefire now, free Palestine." Just some of the messages. There are others written on the chalk around the Frazier Hall University, or Frazier Hall location here at KU. Now, KU officials have allowed that protest to go on for several days now, obviously, but they are saying in the letter that that changes things this weekend because of commencement and the number of people that will be here for commencement ceremonies all throughout the weekend. Officials cite the university's public assembly policy in their letter, saying the university reserves the right to reschedule, relocate, or disperse an assembly when a group has not complied with all university policies. The assembly cannot be reasonably and safely accommodated at the requested location, or the assembly conflicts with scheduled operations of the university or a previously registered assembly. Now, that operation of the university, obviously, is commencement coming up this weekend when so many people will be on campus. I want to step out so you can see more of what we're talking about here. That tent structure there right in front of Frazier Hall has been there, and you may have seen that in other videos we've done of the protest. The letter also says if demonstrations there continue, nothing will be allowed on the shelter site set up outside Frazier Hall. Any added structures like tables, chairs will be removed. They can't use amplified sound for the protest moving forward. But the main sticking point for the university is that camping policy. They say that demonstrations on campus have to be cleared by 10 p.m. or people will be removed from the site. The policy also prohibits people from setting up furniture, bedding, tarps, or other camping paraphernalia. Now, demonstrators last night told us they no longer have encampments set up, so they don't believe they're in violation of anything at all.
We are permitted to occupy public space. We do not have any camping gear, which is prohibited after 10 p.m. We do not have any anything that would be considered gear, according to the university. So we are complying by policy. We are simply here gathering as a community, demanding the university to listen to our cries.
Now, as I've mentioned a couple of times already this morning, we've been following this protest since it began. I want to show you some video that our crews captured on May the 1st when Students for Justice in Palestine first launched these protests. That was the first time that we saw it here in Lawrence after seeing it at multiple universities across the country. Before that, the group sent a letter to the university with 4 demands. Financial divestment was the first. The group claims that KU profits from and financially supports the ongoing Israeli occupation of Palestine and the genocide of its people. But Kansas Attorney General sent a letter to KU and other state universities saying they are bound by Kansas law to not boycott trade with Israel. He says this is because the state of Kansas is a prominent trading partner with Israel and that divesting ties would be illegal and violate state law. So we'll continue to dive deeper into that this morning. But with the commencement ceremonies coming up this weekend, Lindsay, those are the actions the university took to change the, at least, allowances around this protest. The tone may not change necessarily, but as I mentioned last time I spoke to you, obviously protesters want to get the attention of as many people as possible. There will be more people than the entire time they've been set up here on the campus this weekend for commencement, so we will continue to monitor their activities moving throughout the weekend. Back to you.
All right, Taylor, thank you very much. 6:04 this morning. I want to check on your forecast for this Friday and for the weekend. It's been so stormy the last few weeks. We're getting a break.
We're getting a break. Luckily, all that rain, Lindsay, has removed us from the drought that we've been in place since last April.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah, huge improvement within the drought because of the 4 to 8 inches in the whole area over the last 30 days, which is just fantastic.
All right, Daniela, thank you. KCPD plans to increase enforcement in several areas around town on weekends to try to reduce incidents with illegal ATVs and off-road vehicles. We've been hearing from a lot of viewers living in the crossroads and the plaza areas about these specific issues lately. KCPD tells us they'll be increasing the amount of officers in the crossroads, Power and Light, and Westport districts, and this is part of their larger entertainment district plan. So we heard from people living in the impacted areas, and they tell us they hope this will reduce issues caused by these vehicles.
Becomes a unwelcoming experience, especially for pedestrians. I would say just harassment, especially when they're approaching people that are out and about. It's very intimidating, I would say, because you are on a vehicle still.
It's just a flood of them, and people will pull off onto these side roads to get away from them. But the sound of it off all the tall buildings where I live across from it is deafening.
KCPD wasn't able to tell us how many people they stopped or ticketed this past weekend, but we expect to learn more about the enforcement plan heading into the summer. Some Platte County commissioners are considering putting a new county jail on the August ballot. The number of inmates, they say, exceeds what the capacity is at the current jail. So KSHB 41 News reporter Marlon Martinez is here to break this down. Marlon, good morning. So this is not the first time they've tried to put this on the ballot, right?
That's correct. You know, they already had failed to pass a tax back in 2019 that would have went towards a new jail. And I went inside to see what the current conditions are.
It's a trend across the country. Jails overcrowding. Many, including in Platte County, having to find other solutions.
For several months, we've been having to ship our overflow to other counties.
Commissioner Joe Vandover has been working with other officials to find a solution for the county jail that has surpassed capacity. The jail, originally built to house 154 inmates, is currently housing 191 inmates. In the last few years, that number going as high as 250, raising a variety of concerns.
You cram too many people into too small of a space and keep them for too long of a period of time, that tempers flare and people get angry.
To get a better idea of the conditions inside the jail, the county sheriff's department gave me a tour. The video you're seeing is an inmate cell meant to house 2 inmates, which the county jail has improvised to a 3-person cell, one having to sleep on the floor.
You get into sanitary condition issues where people may have their head on the floor near a toilet.
With the building only being 25 years old, Major Eric Collins says it's still enough to pose a safety threat.
We're regularly finding improvised weapons that inmates have made out of parts of the facility.
Knowing an expansion would come with a hefty price tag, county officials are once again seeking support from taxpayers.
I think the community understands it's needed. It's hard sometimes to want to build a new jail, but I feel like the community is starting to understand.
While the future of the jail is still at question, one thing remains clear for the county.
It's a problem that just can't wait. Every month that goes by, I sweat thinking about what would happen.
In 2019, the Platte County Democratic Central Committee urged residents to vote no because they believed the project would be costly on taxpayers. And I reached out to them to get their feedback on this new proposal, but haven't heard back yet. Now, county commissioners are expected to vote in the upcoming weeks on putting a tax question on the August ballot to pay for a new jail, expanding it. This is a problem that he says in that last he says this is a need in the county, but, he doesn't know what's going to happen with it failing back in 2019.
We'll see if it makes it on the ballot, what voters decide. We'll keep track of that. Marlon, thank you very much. And Platte County, not the only local county looking for a new jail. We updated you on the Jackson County Jail in the past. It's currently being built off I-70 and 40 Highway, which used to be a mobile home park. And the county says the finished jail complex will house up to 1,000 inmates and can be expanded. And that is expected to open in early 2026. In the fall of last year, Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas said the city was no longer partnering with Jackson County on the jail, and they plan to build their own instead. Right now, the city sends detainees to either Vernon or Johnson counties, both of those at least 45 minutes away. You might be wondering which inmates would be housed in the new municipal jail versus the new Jackson County jail. Well, the Jackson County Detention Center houses adult inmates being held on state charges. Their inmate population is primarily people from Jackson County and Kansas City. The city jail would hold people who are arrested for violating a city ordinance. They may also hold people arrested for an offense that the state prosecutor has not charged yet. 6:11 this morning. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and at 6:18 we turn the mic to people in that community ahead of a festival at CPKC Stadium this weekend.
Great weather into your weekend plans, but Sunday, Mother's Day, could include a couple showers. We'll look at the timing of that activity coming up.
And then at 6:24, the story of how seniors at Harrisonville High School give back to their community ahead of crossing the graduation stage. Welcome back at 6:14 this morning. It's graduation day for some schools in the University of Southern California. Commencement's going to look a little different this year, though. USC announced it was canceling its main stage graduation ceremony amid ongoing pro-Palestinian protests on campus, but smaller school-specific commencements will continue, though some speakers have dropped out. In Arizona, the House Judiciary Committee will hold a field hearing to talk about the situation at the U.S.-Mexico border. This hearing will focus on the effects the migrant surge has had on Arizona residents and communities. Those testifying include ranchers, Border Patrol agents, and the mother of a fentanyl poisoning victim. U.S. Interior Secretary Deb Haaland will visit New Mexico today. She'll announce new federal funding for drought resilience. The funding will be used to improve the sustainability of water resources within the Rio Grande Basin. The Rio Grande provides millions of people with drinking water.
Here's your latest Kansas City forecast from meteorologist Lindsay Anderson.
All right, everybody, it's 6:15.
Well, thank you very much. Business owners from across the Kansas City area gathering this Saturday to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. This is the third year for the festival, this time in a new location. KSHB 41 reporter Abby Dodge listened to why the festival's founders are encouraged by the event's growth.
Park has been the center of the AAPI Heritage Month Festival for 2 years, ever since Cafe owner Jackie Wynn noticed there wasn't a celebration when she moved to town.
And now that there is something for us to come and celebrate, it just feels so healing, to be honest.
Betty Lee Shackelford works alongside Jackie as the shop's director of community outreach. As the child of immigrants, like many business owners at the festival, she thinks of her mom while planning the inclusive event.
The celebration and the events that we put are also in honor of her, that she gets to come here and still have that community. So I'm very proud to wear this shirt, and I'm very proud to be her daughter.
According to the last census, Kansas City's Asian population is just shy of 3%.
You wouldn't know it when you come to our events, though.
The event title is expanding from AAPI to AANHPI, and the location is bigger, too.
Maybe next year you'll see us at a stadium, and we just manifested it, and I really believe in shooting for the stars, and so I just asked.
Jackie used her own social media following, the growth of her business, Cafe, and word of mouth to grow the festival each year. And now they're on the biggest stage yet, here at CPKC Stadium.
It's been organic, but it's also been a lot of hard work on behalf of our staff and a lot of our team.
Brands like Made Mob and the Crossroads are happy to jump on board, too.
That's stuff I grew up on, and it's amazing just to see other kids of different races and different nationalities be able to enjoy that as well.
They collaborated on a line dropping at the event.
We didn't grow with a lot of like, hey, good job, we're proud of you type things. So just seeing this message and understanding that, you know, you are good enough, you know, you are enough is really big for me.
Making sure to celebrate along the way. Abby Dodge, KSHB 41 News.
And still to come, I'm showing you how some high school seniors are getting involved in community service before graduation. That's coming up after the break at 6:24.
Welcome back. It's 6:24 on this Friday morning. Harrisonville High School seniors getting ready to walk across the stage tonight. Let's get to our Ray Daniels sharing how they're giving back before they finish that last chapter of high school in a really great way. Good morning.
Good morning, Lindsay. Yeah, it's their final lesson before graduation, and it's taking them to various parts of the Harrisonville community. It's all a part of their senior day of service, and the entire senior class just takes part in different community service projects around town just to give back. 197 seniors did a number of different projects across the city. There were a total of 35 locations around the community, including general cleanup at the police station, washing police cars, as you saw earlier, cleaning up parks, and the community center equipment for Harrisonville Parks and Rec. And we spoke with seniors who say it's something that they look forward to.
Just a lot of fun to just go out. People say they have so much fun, and it's just like really rewarding going back and knowing you did something good for a couple hours during the day. So people just always said, yeah, I love it. So I was excited.
I think our community has been able to give back to us in a lot of different ways throughout our whole education experience, and so just giving one last opportunity to say thank you to them is important to us.
And this senior day of service has been going on since 2015. They took a 2-year hiatus due to COVID, but 8 years, this has been a tradition for Harrisonville seniors. So a huge congratulations to them, and of course, as they end this chapter and start a new one soon.
And what a way to end it, giving back to the community.
Yeah.
We love that. Congrats to the seniors. Ray, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ray. Well, still ahead, summer travel is getting ready to ramp up for the summer, that is, and still to come at 6:34. I'm sharing some tips from experts on how to stay safe on the roads.
All right, look forward to that, Daniela. And we do have rain in the forecast on Sunday. Not much, but something to watch for Mother's Day plans. We'll talk about the arrival, what you should be aware of coming up.
And I'm live on the campus of KU this morning in Lawrence. Commencement coming up this weekend, and with that comes new rules for those who have been protesting the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. We've got details on that coming up live from Lawrence when we come back.
A voice for everyone. KSHB 41 News starts right now.
Good morning. Summer is almost here, which means a lot of people getting ready for their summer travel plans. We're hearing from experts on how to get your car ready for that. But first, this is what demonstrations looked like at KU last night after university officials sent a letter to KU students for justice in Palestine. It warned them that anybody protesting after 10 p.m. would be removed and laid out what demonstrators could expect during commencement weekend coming up this weekend. Those commencement activities actually start today. Let's get out to Lawrence live and my co-anchor Taylor Hemness out at KU's campus where those protests were happening last night. Taylor, anything out there this morning? Have any protesters come back?
Lindsay, good morning. Not a soul here this morning at Fraser Hall. I'm going to step out of the way briefly just so you can see. This is Fraser Hall behind me. You can see the tent there, that same tent from the video that we showed you and we've shown you before of the protesters there in front of Fraser Hall. That is the location that's going to stay there, being set up for commencement activities this weekend, but no one outside the actual Fraser Hall protesting just yet this morning. We have seen other protests at universities across the country and here in our area too, others at UMKC, Mizzou. One of the main things groups are calling for is the universities to divest money from Israel. At KU, the group protesting claims the university profits from and financially supports the ongoing Israeli occupation of Palestine. One of the demonstrators tells us this hurts her as a Palestinian.
I came to KU so excited to be a Jayhawk, but now seeing how they lack any empathy or commitment to their Palestinian students, which I am one of them, when I have spoken to the university administration asking why we don't deserve the same support that, for example, Ukrainian students received when the Russian-Ukrainian war first started, and they did not have an answer.
Now, as for those financial demands from protesters, those divestments with Israel moving forward, it may be out of the university's hands because the Kansas Attorney General is already saying that's not possible. Chris Kobach saying the legislature has already talked about that, and that's not a thing that the university would be able to do. In a letter to KU, he wrote, "State law is clear. Israel is a prominent trading partner of the state of Kansas. The state, in the interest of the state's economic policy, should not boycott trade with Israel." He goes on to say the Board of Regents and universities universities under its control are bound by this language. So basically what that means is the Kansas University may not be able to make any decision about that. It may not be up to them because state law says they cannot make those decisions, and Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach already making that very clear. Again, the new rule as of last night with the University of Kansas and those protesters is they have to be out every night by 10 o'clock. Also, multiple parts of that rule as far as what can be on the site of these protests, including sound amplification systems, that kind of thing, because they are expecting, obviously, a lot of people here this weekend for commencement activities, and they don't want any protests to potentially disrupt what could happen with those situations going on, which is the reason that tent is here as well. Lindsay, back to you.
All right, Taylor, thank you. 6:32 this morning. Here with meteorologist Lindsay Anderson. Every day we wake up saying, what degree of umbrella do I need today, right? You get a dry weekend?
That's how it's felt, dry. Yes. Chances of rain on Mother's Day, though, but I think it'll be towards later in the day and it'll be pretty light. So I think that'll be helpful for lunch or brunch plans with Mom. You can see just a few scattered beautiful clouds here from Children's Mercy Park looking out over the Kansas Speedway this morning. Temperatures are feeling pretty nice.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Your time this morning is 6:33. We do have an update for you guys on that incident happening on 435 westbound near Lackman Road. I'm being told it's just a single car crash, very minimal injuries, and it should be cleared up here momentarily. Your drive times, if you're heading out the door, Lee Summit, Blue Springs, and Olathe, we're in pretty good shape. Now, in just a few weeks, again, roadways across the Kansas City area will be packed with folks getting ready for summer travel, right? Well, to help you stay safe out there, I got a chance to talk with a local mechanic shop in Independence on how to get your car ready for the summer months. Summer is right around the corner, and Kansas City is getting ready for another getaway season.
No, we like to hit the road and just go fun places and see where it takes us sometimes.
But whether you're checking out hidden treasures in the Midwest,
just driving around in Missouri and Kansas and a little bit up north and a little bit down south,
or taking a long road trip.
We definitely take a road trip, probably to Tennessee.
Are you doing what it takes to ensure you have a smooth and safe journey?
Usually I take my family's car, so I don't have to take care of it.
Just hope it works.
Instead of relying on luck, Ryan's Car Care Center in Independence says preparing your car for the summer months can save you money in the long run. Just like the winter, drastic temperature changes can impact your car's performance, including its battery and tires.
A lot of blown out tires this time of year. People tend to have their tires underinflated. It gets super hot. They drive on the highway. They expand really fast. Pop, they blow up.
Owner Ryan Spears says start off by popping the hood and topping off engine oil and other fluids, replace wiper blades, test your lights, brakes, mirrors, and inspect your belts and hoses, pack an emergency kit, and look into investing in a windshield sunshade to protect your car's electronics.
We're talking about hundreds of dollars in parts and hundreds of dollars in programming.
But the best way to have a worry-free trip this summer, take your car to a local auto shop before hitting the road.
Making sure you get your normal maintenance done. Get your oil changed, make sure your technicians checking over your filters, your air conditioning's work, that the cooling system is full.
By the way, some other tips for you guys at home is keeping a close eye on where you park during the summer. If you can try to park in a shaded area, that is best for your car, Lindsay.
Right.
And also, just keep in mind that you don't want to exhaust your air conditioning, right? So when you first get into your car, let your windows down so you can let some of that heat out. That way you don't overwork your AC.
Get rid of some of that humidity that's just stuck in there.
I'm not looking forward to that.
I know, we forget. We want it to be summer and warm. All right, thank you. Speaking of, I know you love baseball like I do.
Oof.
The boys of summer. KC Royals offense showed up big on the road last night.
Angels fans.
Well, that's all right. Sorry, Daniela. We beat the Angels 10-4. 10-4. In 3 minutes, we're going to share some of the most impressive highlights, lots to choose from. Then at 6:50, the owner of Backyard Burgers in eastern Jackson County is going to close its doors to enter retirement. The owner reflects on his nearly 30 years, and wait to see how the community has really been impacted here. After that, a story of unwavering support for hometown teams. One man shares how he honors his father's legacy through every cheer. Here's a great way to start off your morning. Royals fans, Kansas City Royals kicking off that West Coast trip in a huge way. Royals playing the Angels last night, had a big third inning to get them started. Man, they never looked back. Darren Blanco had his first home run of the year. He's been stealing bases, now he's got a homer. And Vinny Pasquantino, there's his home run later in that inning. That makes 5 for the season. Now he's right behind Salvi for home runs for the team. Royals go on to win, listen to this, 10-4. They play again tonight. The Kansas City Current had a 0-0 tie with Seattle Reign Wednesday night, but Kansas City still unbeaten this season, one of only 2 NSWL teams that can claim that. The team's next game is this Sunday against the North Carolina Courage. Kickoff just after 5, but our pre-match coverage starts at 4:30 on 38th The Spot.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Now, Sunday does bring a couple chances of rain showers our way, especially towards the late afternoon and evening. So mowing the lawn, working outside today and tomorrow is fantastic. May need to get it in early Sunday for Mom if she's suggesting that. And then Monday, getting ready for our next widespread rainy day. I'll explain that next storm system, show you what's headed our way. That's all next.
The University of Kansas told the people protesting the ongoing war in Gaza here on campus last night to clear out. Details on the new rules on campus coming up.
And after almost 30 years in business in Blue Springs and Independence, the Backyard Burger owner is closing up shop. We're talking with him about the impact he's seen from the community and how he's looking forward to retirement.
6:44 this morning. Commencement weekend starts today at the University of Kansas, and with more visitors expected on campus, officials are telling pro-Palestinian protesters that they're going to start cracking down on its camping policy. This is what protests looked like on campus last night and overnight, and that's where my co-anchor Taylor Hemness is this morning, live in Lawrence for a very different looking scene this morning. Good morning.
Lindsay, good morning. I have seen multiple students here at the University of Kansas this morning moving around the area, people running, getting some early morning exercises in. Already some students making their way to class or to study periods before class this morning as the sun comes up, but no one at the site of the protest last night. The thing that I have seen from protesters from last night and from the time they've been here are some drawings on the chalk around where they have been protesting. I want to show you some photos I took this morning of some of the places that some of the messages saying things like Free Gaza, Ceasefire Now, Free Palestine. Killing children is never justified, one message says. Not in our name. Jews for Free Palestine, another square says there. And one of the most striking ones that I saw this morning, your tuition funds genocide there. Another one of the pictures that we have seen of the different messages written here across the campus as far as what the protesters are trying to say to people as they make their way by Fraser Hall. Now, KU has allowed these protesters to be here for the last week or so, but they say the student organization has not responded for what they have called good faith efforts from the university in allowing them to be here. Officials cite the university's public assembly policy in their letter, saying in part, the university reserves the right to reschedule, relocate, or disperse an assembly when a group has not complied with all university policies. The assembly cannot be reasonably and safely accommodated at the requested location, or the assembly conflicts with scheduled operations of the university or a previously registered assembly. Now, the university says that encampments specifically are what violated the university's camping policy. I tweeted some of those pictures this morning. Already had someone responding to the tweet saying they shouldn't be allowed to camp in the first place. Protests are one thing, encampments are another, responding to what they're doing, similar to what the university is saying. Students we talked to last night at the protest said they didn't have any gear, they believe, that violates the university's policy allowing them to be there. We've been following these protests, as you know, since they began here at KU on May the 1st. They've been calling for the university to divest funding from Israel. Again, we talked to students last night, and they say they feel the university is just not listening to them.
We have been trying to work with the university. They are the ones that have been refusing.
It doesn't feel nice to see our administration trying to be against students engaging in critical thought and theory.
I think a lot of us are seeing the cracks in the system, and we just kind of want to say something about it. We're all trying to do our part to make the world a better place.
Now, as for those calls for stopping funding to Israel and the divestment of university funds, Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach has said that is not allowed to happen because the state is a prominent trading partner with Israel. He said it would be against state law for the university to cut off any relationship with Israel moving forward. Obviously, this is a very tense situation and has been over the last week. Things could change this weekend with so many people expected here throughout the weekend for commencement ceremonies all throughout the weekend here at KU. you. As I mentioned this morning, obviously the goal of a protest is to get as many eyes as possible on what you're doing. This could be the weekend where the most eyes as possible to be watching them could be here. We expect to be able to see more protests throughout the day when they come back. We don't know what time they are allowed to come back, if that's been translated to them in any way, but we do know that 10 o'clock p.m. time is when they have to leave every night moving forward. We'll watch all throughout the weekend. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Taylor, thank you.
Here's your latest Kansas City forecast from meteorologist Lindsay Anderson.
All right, pretty interesting watching a line of very severe storms.
Well, thank you. For almost 3 decades, Backyard Burger has been a staple in eastern Jackson County. Now they're closing. KSHB 41 News reporter Claire Bradshaw live at the Blue Springs location. Claire, you talked with the owners about the last 27 years in business, where you have been a frequent customer as well, right?
Yeah, good morning, Lindsay. I grew up coming to this Backyard Burger. This is where my elementary school had our fundraisers. So when Gene Scassoletti first opened this 27 years ago, he got the idea from a franchise out in Kansas. And he said today, if you told him he would have the customer base and the employees that he does, he wouldn't believe you.
A longtime Jackson County eatery prepares to serve its final famous flame-grilled burgers. Gene Scassoletti opened Backyard Burgers in Blue Springs 27 years ago. He was looking to get into the restaurant business, but didn't know how it would take off.
And I remember the lines out all the way to Duncan to try to get into the restaurant. And I realized then that we were going to do okay.
More than okay. Scassoletti opened up a second location in Independence a few years later. That store just closed up on May 3rd as Scassoletti merges into retirement, leaving him to say his final goodbyes.
So our business, it over doubled, and it was humbling. I mean, I did not expect it, first of all. I thought we would be busy, but not anything like that.
Outside of his loyal customers, Scassoletti credits his success to his loyal employees. Some have worked with him since day one. It isn't common to have a restaurant staff stay on for 10, 20, almost 30 years. Danielle Vasquez has been on staff for 9 years, helping finish out at the Blue Springs location.
Oh my gosh. I bawled. I'm not gonna lie. I bawled. Yeah, it was kind of shocking. I mean, it wasn't really shocking, but it kind of was still. Like, I knew the moment was gonna come, but you know, when it hits, it hits.
And it's hit for Scassoletti. His family has worked in the store, his children and wife helping him over the years. So many locals can claim their first job was working for Scassoletti. He's dedicated his time to Blue Springs and Independence, giving back to schools and charities. And 27 years later, he's still surprised by the communities he loves.
You just think you go about your business and you do your job and work and serve food, and you don't think people notice, but they did.
I sure did too, Gene. So the final day for the Blue Springs location of Backyard Burgers overall is May 15th. That's when you can come out, last day to get your burgers. As for the locations, Gene said he sold them to somebody else. They will not continue the Backyard Burger franchise. To be announced what they'll turn into. Reporting in Blue Springs, I'm Claire Bradshaw, KSHB 41 News.
Gene, clearly beloved. Look at the impact he had. That's just wonderful, and congrats on his retirement. Thank you, Claire. So everyone has their favorite Chiefs game day attire, jersey, hat, some face paint. I've got some earrings I love, but you may have noticed another item popping up during the run to the Super Bowl, a red wristband. KSHB 41 News producer Callie Counselor explains the story behind this accessory.
The Chiefs had their fair share of doubters throughout last season. But if you ask Travis Kelce,
never doubt my mind, baby. Never doubt my mind.
Steve Sutherland would agree. He proudly displayed unwavering confidence in his beloved teams, the Royals, the Mizzou Tigers, and the Kansas City Chiefs, often posting these 3 words after one of his team's victories: never a doubt.
If it was a close one, he would still put on Facebook, never a doubt, and everyone would call him crazy. And but I'm sure he really didn't have a doubt ever.
Steve's son, Ben, rarely missed a Chiefs game with his dad. They've had season tickets since 1990. But on December 28th, 2023, Steve suffered a fatal heart attack. He was 70 years old. The first game Ben attended after his dad's death, when the Chiefs played the Bengals on December 31st, was bittersweet.
Going down to those seats for the first time, it was hard, but everyone around us. He'd managed to build a relationship with everybody in our section, it seemed like, and we got hugs from dozens of people in our section, and it was hard to do, but we managed and went and had a good time, and the Chiefs won.
Steve's favorite catchphrase became a rallying cry for his loved ones. Wristbands with the saying were handed out at his celebration of life and have become a game day staple for friends and family.
I didn't take off, never a doubt, for any second during the Chiefs run.
A reminder of Steve's optimism and the mark he made on so many people.
All you can do is remember what a great man he was and try to be as great as he was every single day, and remember the things that he said, and hope that you leave the same legacy for your own kids someday.
So what would Steve say about the Chiefs' Super Bowl victory?
I promise you, he said, never a doubt.
Callie Counselor, KSHB 41 News.
Never a doubt. Well, Ben says his dad had a few other favorite sayings. One was, take the high road, which they made into a Royals wristband, and the Mizzou wristband that says, WWSD. What would Steve do? Oh. Love that the family shared that with all of us, too.
That's special.
Nice forecast for Mother's Day.
Nice forecast. We've got some nice conditions going into Saturday. Mother's Day, increasing clouds and a little bit of rain possible, but more towards the evening and nighttime hours, where Monday will be a soaker.
Okay.
And as far as the road goes, just if you're coming to downtown Kansas City from the Northland, keep in mind we're dealing with some stop-and-go traffic, but again, no major accidents causing this backup.
Well, that's good news. Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. We continue on 38 The Spot. Look at how beautiful. I was going to say sunrise. It's up on this Friday morning. See ya.